This video is going to demonstrate the proper installation of a Climax KLD Series C405 heavy-duty locking assembly. Note that it will also be applicable to our Series C415 medium-duty and Series C425 extra heavy-duty locking assemblies as well, which are of a similar design. Note that all Climax KLDs are immersed in oil at the factory and are shipped in a VCI anti-corrosion paper which prevents oxidation both in transit and in storage. When installing these locking assemblies, they should be installed on either a clean and or lightly oiled shaft which uses ordinary petroleum oil with no synthetics or no additives or most importantly, no anti-seize compounds which contain molybdenum disulfide, which is an extreme pressure lubricant which will most certainly adversely affect the torque capacity of the connection. So a big no-no. Okay, in some instances, depending on the tolerances and the surface finishes, the locking assembly will want to fight you getting it into the hole. And in those instances, a trick is to take 2 or 3 of the locking screws and place them into the adjacent jacking holes, snugging them up. And what this does is prevent, and it blocks out the locking assembly so that the tapers don't engage each other and want to expand this as you're inserting it into the hole. In this case, I am going to install this C405 onto the shaft and into the hub bore. It's slipped in nicely. All of the screws at that point, if you had used them for jacking, put them back into their correct locations and finger tighten all the screws. In many instances, you will be installing a Climax KLD locking assembly over an empty keyway on, let's say, a motor or a gearbox shaft. In that event, what we recommend is that the slit in the locking assembly is positioned anywhere but over the empty keyway, and in fact, one of the locking screws is positioned directly over the empty keyway. When we begin our tightening sequence in a few minutes here, in the event of an empty keyway, please note that you were to make an even pull of the wrench and you won't be measuring torque on that particular screw only. Okay, now I've got the locking assembly in place. My screws are all finger tightened, and quite often, instead of starting with the torque wrench, I'll use either an Allen key or a hand wrench just to make it a little more convenient. And I will begin making quarter turn passes on each of these screws, and I will work in a sequential pattern, working my way around the locking assembly. After making several passes with my hand wrench, I'm going to switch over to the torque wrench, which has been set to 105% of the specified tightening torque, which is listed in our catalog on our website, on the label on the box, and also on the installation instructions as well. Okay, I'm going to pick up where I left off, and I'm going to continue making quarter turn passes of the screws until such point as the torque wrench clicks, indicating that I've reached the 105% over torque. At that point, I am going to continue working my way around the locking assembly 2 more times, hitting each of these screws at the 105% over torque. Okay, after taking my 2 passes at the 105% over torque, I am going to take the torque wrench and adjust it down to the specified tightening torque. At that point, I am going to go 1 more time around the locking assembly, ensuring that each of the screws is at 100%. In the event that I get movement out of the wrench on any of the screws, what we're going to do at that point is set it back up to the 105%, make 1 or 2 more passes to put a little more force into the system, back it down to 100%, and check it once more. When all of the screws are at the specified tightening torque, installation is complete. There's no need to go back and have to retighten these screws or check their torque at any point. If you have any questions or problems with removing any Climax KLD, contact our KLD application engineers who will be more than happy to assist with the tips and tricks of removing these units.